Okay, so I am a person who hauls his vehicle behind a truck. This is what I do. And a friend asked me to do a couple of videos and take pictures of some things that he might need. And so I thought I would, now that I've almost got this hooked up, I thought I'd take this opportunity to go over some things and why I do those things. Okay, so this stinger I got from Martin's Welding right here. And this is an 18-inch piece of tubing I had him cut. Now, I haven't done this yet, but I already have 2 holes drilled into it right here. One here on this tubing. But I don't have it drilled all the way through on this. So I am going to later have a hole drilled through there and bolt it, because this thing's got movement that goes like this that I don't like. And by bolting it, double bolting it, then you don't get this, like how I'm gonna have here on the end. You're gonna have this no matter what. But you're gonna have it all the way through it. You don't want that. Also, you will see that's my drop down back there, and I'll get closer of it, and you'll see I got 2 bolt setups on it. And what that does is that keeps this stinger from going side to side and up and down. It's not enough to just put one. You gotta have them both. So it corners that up in the upper left corner there, and this thing will not wiggle around. Same way underneath. I got my chain. This is just a 20-foot chain, 1-piece 20-foot chain. It's how I do it. Some people use 2 chains, 2 10-footers is what you required. I use 1 20-foot chain. So now I'm gonna go underneath here and show you this drop-down piece. So this drop-down piece doesn't have any holes in it. I purposely asked, when I asked Martin to make this one, only make the 1 top hole and nothing else. I only use this for lift gates. I don't use it for anything else. There's no, well, strike that. I also use it if I need an extension, like when I'm doing a Mack truck and it's got a 5th wheel on it. Well, this thing here will come off the top and come down and it clears the back of the bumper. You'll know what I mean when I do one of those videos. And then I wrap my chain around both ways. So this is going away this way, coming up and over, and the other one's going the other way. And I do that so it can't come undone at all. I'm gonna climb a little further under. This frame, as big as this truck is, this frame's kind of thin. Look how thin that frame is. So I got a 7-8-inch piece of 2 by 8 1/4-inch piece of steel that I stick up in between here on the inside of the C-channel. It won't work out here, it'll fall off, but here it's being held in by the C-channel. This frame right here, it's being held in. And I do this to prevent this frame from bending, because a car weighs 4,000 pounds and you got like 5 inches here. That's all you got. That's on this frame, and it's going to tweak the frame. So on both sides, I got a piece of metal there and a piece of metal here. And this came with it to hold this stinger from moving. This came with it, but it didn't have one on the side. So I had one welded and installed on the side. So now, just like the stinger down here, it can't go side to side or up and down. This can't go front to back, side to side, because I got that for side to side. I got this for front to back. So this stinger is really solid, like solid. And it's kind of close to this, but I can put my fingers in there. It's never gonna hit it. It's gonna sit right there the whole way, trip down. So I also do, when I do lift gates, I'm an old man. When I do lift gates, I bought this strap right here. I bought this strap at a truck stop. And so when I do lift gates, I string it through and underneath, and I string it through underneath. I don't have to worry about the side to side, so I don't have to wrap it around it and tie it up. I don't need to do that. I just need it to be able to hold the weight of the car. So I have it suspended up a little bit, so it still kind of has some movement, but it ain't gonna move much. And when I hit the brakes, because I use a pintle, this A-frame that sits higher is going to be pointing down. And it doesn't have to be perfect because I use a pintle. And it can sit at all different angles. And it'll be pointing down. When I hit the brakes, it's going to be pushing down on that. So I bought this strap just to keep this lifted up so it doesn't push down, bend the frame. This is a 4,000-pound car pushing on this big stinger. It could bend the stinger, it could bend the frame. This is how I do it. So this is, you know, what I do here. And then I use a paddle lock. I drilled a hole. This had a pan, rinky-dink pan. This whole thing was rinky-dink. It's a term I used when I was a kid. But anyway, so this pivot was worn. And this pivot right here for this to go up was worn. And so I pulled them out and I put bolts in them. And they're loose so I could move them. But there's lock nuts, and I just didn't want that thread sticking out, so I just put an extra nut on there. Who cares? Anyway, there's lock nuts on here keeping these things from moving. But even though it's got this play in it, it's got this big bolt holding it in. So that's what I do. And then I drilled this hole out a little bit so I could fit a paddle lock through there, so nobody will unlatch my thing, and then I lock it down. That way it doesn't get unlatched. Can't steal my car. Can't, you know, you have to get rid of this. I guess you could pull the pin and then drive down the road with this thing hanging on the front end, but you know, make some think, make some work, delay, make it a little bit harder. So this is the other one that I had made, and this is, I'm going to show you what I did. So this one has 2 holes in it, and I had these added. I had these things added with these bolts so that when I tighten them down, they push in on whatever goes through this tube and keeps it from wobbling around. This one has 2 holes in it, but that one there normally comes with 3. And I said I don't want 3 holes because it weakens it. It could twist. I never use it for anything but lift gates, or if I'm doing the Mac. With a 5th weld. It's the only time I use that. I don't use it for anything else. I don't need the extra holes in there when I have this one here. So I also took these and I had them shove another piece of steel in here and then weld it into place. So if you look inside there, you can see the line where the other piece of steel is there through there. And then I just had them re-drill the holes. So now this thing is double thick. Heavy? Yes. Safe? Yes. These nuts, I'm using this 28mm wrench to tighten these nuts down with. When you get that metal frame, he'll hand you, from Martin, he'll give you 2 sockets. This is a 1 1/8 inch socket, deep, like this is what you need. And then he'll give you the square nut socket. This thing only has 8 points, not a 12 or 6. It's an 8-point socket. And he'll give you this one, and it's a 3/4 square nut, because he's going to have square nuts on there. You saw them on there. They're not regular sockets. So use this to tighten it down. Also, you're going to need a torque wrench, and I torque mine down to 100 foot-pounds. That's what I do. If I can't get it to focus, and that's okay. 100 foot-pounds is what I torque my stuff down to. I don't go any more. It's plenty. Your tires don't fall off at 100. This ain't falling off at 100. You're going to need a really good 1/2 inch ratchet, because you got to knock these nuts loose when you get to ground, you know, to delivery. You got to be able to knock them loose. And this pipe is actually too short. I have a longer one, but if you get one just a little bit longer than this one, maybe double in length, you can use this wrench easy peasy, and, you know, with these sockets, and knock those things loose, but you need a little longer. I recommend getting some kind of an electric drill with a 1/2 inch thing on the end. You can use a drill. This is an impact driver. And the reason for that is those screws get long-winded underneath there. So you could bzz, bop, you know, and otherwise you're doing them by hand. Bloop, bloop. You're gonna need one of these to pop off those rings when you get to ground zero. When you get to delivery, you're gonna need one of these to pop those rings off. And I had to today, I noticed that I had a little bit of oil. A little bit of oil inside here, and I cleaned it all up. Cleaned this all up. And these were a little loose. But if you just pack a 24 millimeter socket, it'll fit right on there. And you could tighten these down, which I did. They were loose, 100 foot-pounds. I tightened down the 100 foot-pounds. They all moved, all of them, both sides. So I cleaned both sides up, tightened both sides. And so that should fix that leak, and that should not leak anymore. I always, recommend having, get a 4-set, 1 key, 4-set lock. Sometimes you gotta paddle lock your chain so it doesn't get stolen if you gotta leave stuff behind. You disconnect your car to go get something to eat, and you got your truck at the truck stop. You don't want anybody climbing underneath stealing your chain. So I have extra locks. I got 4 of these. They're all keyed the same. So even if I lose one, I still have the 1 key to do them all. And then any other sockets that you think you might need, like this one here, I believe is a 3. No, this is a 20, but you need a 3/4 to tighten the lug nuts on your car. I think a lot of people have one of these. I do. This is what I use. And then these are my extra. This is a double-sided, so it's got, you can put this on this side. There's a socket. This side is socket, depending on how big you need it to be. I need this one, so I stick this in this way, and then I tighten it down. Stuff like that. You want to have extra pins. I got extra pins here. Extra bolts if I want to bolt something down so it doesn't get stolen or whatever. I have extra bolts with washers. And, you just want to have extra stuff. I'm trying to see if I have. I don't. I guess I used. Nope, here we go. But that bag has these in it, with pins in it and these. So you want to have extra ones of these. So that's where I am with hooking up to this truck. And I will go ahead and I'll hook it up, and I'm going to take my chain, I'm going to wrap it around my stinger until it comes out, and then I'm going to hook it to my A-frame, and it's going to be on there, and that way the truck is attached to the A-frame for safety. Plus I have my safety chain, my own safety chains that connect to the other end. That one's already connected, it's still connected. So, that's where you're at. You want to have at least have this stuff, maybe some, when you're tightening stuff down, sometimes you need a little bit of an extension. This extension is like 8 inches, I think. This one's 6 inches. I think I have 2 of those 8s. Anyway, and you can never have too many extensions. You can never have too many pliers. Carry them with another pair of pliers. I have lots of other tools, and I need this for mine because these nuts need to be unloosened and tightened up, and so this 18 millimeter does that job. Other than that, that's where you're at. And I carry a swivel with me. Sometimes you're in a tight spot. You need a swivel to get up in there so you can knock stuff loose. This is a 1/2-inch drive swivel. Does the job. You might need a pry bar, so always carry a small pry bar with you in case you got to pry something loose over there. You never know, it's going to tighten up on you. And just and then as you go along, you'll be like, oh, I need this, I need that. These are not recommended by DOT. They actually don't like these at all. If you're going to use something to hold a chain, like connect a chain or whatever, you got to have something more along the lines of this. This is approved. This is DOT approved right here. So if you need something that you need to hook a chain to, and this thing right here, you tighten these down. When they tighten down, they don't come loose. You always have to check them though, And they're different weight classes, but these are the tough that they want. They want these things. I don't know. I just call them horseshoes. I don't know what they're called. Don't care about terminology these days. But these things here, these things like this, they don't like them because they're not very strong. This thread isn't very strong, and you'll end up in trouble having that. Other than that, even though I do have them, I'm not using them. And I bought them a long time ago, and I still have them. So that's where we are with what I have going on. I do have another setup of this square tubing is only 12 inches long, 2 holes drilled in it, and another one of these, all these holes in it like this, and I have one of those, and I got them bolted together. I'm going to go to the back of the car, see if I can pull that out for you real quick. All right, so I have another one here. And this one's considerably shorter than that one. And it is, like, if you look down in there, you can see that the tube's almost all the way through. I got just enough room. That's the furthest I could have stuck it in without being able to put in my ball or my pintle hook that I wanted to do. And this thing also has a piece of metal shoved in it, just like the other one. Made it double thick, so it's double thick. Everything I have is double thick, so that no problems happen. And even as far in as this thing is, it still has play. I don't need 2 holes. I have 2 holes, but I don't need it. But you can see this thing even has play still. So, you know, then you're gonna need a bunch of electrical, which I will talk about the electrical you need on another day. But right now, this one here is just it has these box trucks always have some kind of 4-wire plug-in right here. Right here, there it is. A little 4-wire, white, ground, brown, power, yellow is left, green is right. It's always the same. And so I'm just gonna unplug this, plug it in, run my wire up above, connect it to my car. Anyway, I'll talk about things that you'll need for your electrical, you know, on another video. This will be Richie Rich signing off.